Hello everybody. We're going to do something a little different here, and hopefully something that sticks. It was kind of brought on by a combination of things. First here from this message from our friend and fellow viewer Gregor, and my investigation into how we are doing on the World Wide Web. And I need to do a little work. I've been too busy doing everything but working on our own site. So shame on me. But I wanted to add, we have a blog on there, and I never use it because I hate typing. I'd rather just talk. So I figured instead of doing, quick little text tutorials that, you got to read and do all that with, and I got to type them and things I don't want to do. We do little quick video tutorials based on questions sent to us, specifically unique questions and questions that I can answer in a short period of time. Not how do I make my website. Those questions won't work. I don't have time for that. Anyway, but then this message here prompted me to have that idea. That's how I can fill the blog with good content, not just meaningless fluff, to generate SEO results and interest. So here we go. I modified the message a bit here. I redacted personal information, and I'm going to modify it a little more here. There. Good. And I might redact some likes from here when I read it. So, Gregor writes, "Hey Alan, I want to create a website that displays lyrics to songs, and I've been watching your videos, and they are great." That's what the red line's for. I was wondering, can you create a new web page, free website, by just entering in lyrics into a database like MySQL? Say I wanted to add new lyrics by someone like Biffy Clyro. Can I add information, including the lyrics and song title, etc., to the database, and it will generate the web page for me? This is true. This is a perfect example of a good use of a database, or a good dynamic-based website. Now what I'm going to show is how to build the database for this. Now with all these videos, or these types of videos, I'm going to have to assume that you have prior knowledge or you are watching other videos from us. So I can't, otherwise this turn into a series, and this is meant to be a quick video. So I will try to not exclude anything that I haven't already taught. So with that said, we're going to mostly be working in MySQL, and I'm going to show you how to build this database, or a quick idea of how to build the database anyway, and how to use relation to be able to make it a little more dynamic by having artists and the lyrics separate, so that you can have a list of artists and a list of lyrics associated with such artists, rather than having to enter in redundant information by putting in the artist name every time you put in a lyric. You don't need to type that in. That's redundant. Make yourself a list of artists and pick from it. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so in MySQL I've already created a table, or a database called lyrics. And again, I'm assuming you already know how to get this far. And what we're going to do is use my fancy pants smart pen made by A-Pen. I recommend it. To kind of sketch out the database here. Doodle. So we're gonna obviously have two tables. Now we're obviously going to have two tables here. We're going to have artists, and we're going to have lyrics. So let's look at lyrics. Lyrics, as I told Gregor in my response to him, you could really follow what we did with the blog in the dynamic series, with that table, and if you're familiar with that series, but we need an ID, and we need, let's see, title of the song. And if you're not familiar with the way I like to map out these databases, I tend to use 3 columns here, and I'll explain that a little bit here in a second. But so ID, we need title, date, that would be for the date that was entered, and I say put this in here just so that you can have a better way to sort, or another way to sort. That's really up to you. This is more of an option. And then we need the lyrics. And then, like I usually do, I do a status. And this is usually a Boolean value, a 1 or a 0 or something, to tell the website whether this is active or inactive, visible or not visible, and also optional. And here I'll put parentheses around optional items here. Now we're not quite done with this yet, but I want to move over to the artist table here. Draw a line here. So we have our artist table, and of course we need a unique ID for each of the artists entered. And we'll just do name. I would do first and last name, but since we're talking about artists, this could be a band or a person. There's ways that you could do both, but for sake of simplicity here, let's just use one field here. That way you can either put a band name in or you could put a person's name in. So ease there. Also a status, just in case you want to hide certain artists or something. Again, optional. So now all we need to do is we need to link these tables somehow, and this is done by creating a relation. And the way we create a relation in the simplest form is to add another field here, artist, we'll say underscore ID. Sorry, that's a little tight there, but artist underscore ID, or you could just say artist. That's how I do it. It doesn't matter what you call this. The point is that whenever we enter in lyrics, we will then store the artist's ID. So by making this connection, we can then associate a lyric with an artist, and do so by using its unique ID. Now, we could use the name instead of the ID, but there is a chance that you're going to have maybe an artist with the same name, or something like that, and in which case, just like in your contact list on your phone, you might have 2 John Smiths, and you need your database to be able to decipher between the 2. Now, either way, your list is going to show on your website is going to show 2 artists by the name of John Smith, but at least in the database there is a difference between the 2 of them. And this is just a way to do it, in general. It's just the common way to do it. So, again, we're storing the ID of the artists from the artist table in here. So now we can go and take what we've doodled out here, sketched out, and put it in the database. So we'll flip back and forth from the paper to the to PHPMyAdmin. So we're going to make the artist table first, and we have 3 columns: ID, name, status. Hit go. So we'll put those in. ID. I'm just going to put them in. I put the names of them in here first. So ID, name, status. ID, let's go ahead and make it a medium integer. Name, varchar, char, car, whatever it is. medium integer has its own predefined value, so we don't need to do anything there. Name, let's just be generous and give it 300 characters. You can make up your own mind on that. Status, we'll just make it an integer and make it 1. So it'll be a boolean, on, off, 1, 0. Or we could expand on that and have different statuses. That's really up to you. Again, this is a use it if you want to. Don't if you don't. For the ID, again, we want to make this the primary key and auto increment it. And for the name, we keep the name as it is. Status, since this is kind of a use it if you want to, let's just go ahead and say as defined 1. And 1 can mean yes, it's on, active, whatever. So that way we don't have to go through and activate all these should you want to use this or not. And let's click save. So now we have our table for the artist, ID, name, status. And let's go back and create the other table, which is lyrics. Number of columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, we'll go through and do the names first. So we have ID and artist ID. And it's pretty common to put the indexes here first as far as the order. And I'll note again, I like to just do artist because I know personally that this is going to be the ID. Some people prefer to put underscore ID or something like that next to it so that you're aware of what's going on there. That's up to you. Make sure this matches the ID type, or the type that we made in the other table. So medium integer, and this one can be medium integer as well for the lyric ID. Flip back. So we have title, date, and lyrics. And then status. And again, status is optional, so is date. Title, we want varchar. I'll go ahead and be generous again with 300 characters, sounds good. Sorry, let's go back up here and make sure we finish this. ID, again, is the primary and auto increment, and artist ID is an index. This is where we're creating the relation here. So title, varchar, date, let's just make this the timestamp. And make the default the current timestamp, so we can just leave that be. This will just automatically put a timestamp in there. And then the lyrics, let's go ahead and make this a long text. Lyrics can get kind of long. And do the status as defined 1, should you want to use status. And save. So now we have our two tables, artists and lyrics, and we can put in some lyrics and artists. Now I have found some lyrics from an artist that I enjoy. Took me a minute to find some that were appropriate, but and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this or not, or if I have to use some generic Commons lyrics, so we'll find out. Things happen. So here's an artist that I enjoy, Dax Riggs. You may not, but either way, we'll use it. So let's go ahead and put him into the database. So click on artists, and we'll go to insert and name, Dax Riggs. Go. So now we have, if we click on browse, we have one artist in our database, Dax Riggs, and his ID is number 1. So if we go to lyrics, which, you know what, songs might have been a more appropriate title for that, but we'll keep that as it is. Click on insert, artist ID. We already know it's number 1. Now, of course, if we were making an interface for this, we'd want to make a drop-down menu or something to choose from in the form on the website. But for now, we already know that Dax Riggs is artist number 1. So its ID is number 1. We leave the lyric ID alone because it's going to auto-increment. Title is the Terrors of Nightlife, which I have experienced before myself. But anyway, so I'm going to copy the lyrics here from this text document that I found on the interweb. I do not own these lyrics. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. Paste them here. Tidied up a little bit. Now, one thing to note, we're going to want to use the WYSIWYG for this. So that I mean, if you're gonna put this into the website and have like a little admin area where you add the lyrics, you're gonna probably want to use the WYSIWYG so that you can get this echoed out. Otherwise, there are ways to echo this out without formatting, so that it actually shows up exactly how we put it here too. That's up to you. Otherwise, we'd want to put some break tags in there or something. So let's keep it like this, and I'll show you how to echo it out without formatting. So it actually reads these as line breaks. But you got to pick either or. And with something as simple as lyrics, you could almost pull this off without having to worry about the WYSIWYG. So maybe I'm taking that back. Hit go. So now we have one lyric, or one song, let's say, associated with this artist. And I guess it's kind of a superficial association at this point. We know it, and we know how to access it. We know that if we do a query for lyrics with the artist ID of 1, then we can pull all the lyrics from that artist ID. All right, now we go into Dreamweaver, and we'll try and do as much as we can. I'm going to try to keep these under 30 minutes, so we'll do as much as we can to show how this connection is made and how to display these. So I have created just a basic PHP document using the HTML5 standard. You can do whatever you want. And I also pasted our kind of generic database connection script that we use in the other series. Again, if you don't know that, you should go back and check out our other series, or try to follow along. It's up to you. Let's go ahead and just change this to lyric list site. Very creative. Now, I'm going to put the actual information so that I can connect to the database in here, and then hide it so you can't see it. So I've got my info hidden here. So just remember our connections up there, and stored in the dbc variable. So what do we want to do? The object of this, I guess, would be to get a list of artists, which we only have 1, and then be able to display lyrics from that artist, or a list of lyrics from that artist, that is, and then also display the lyrics. So let's start by just making a div. And this will end up being, I think, a sidebar here. And this is where we're going to load the list of artists. And let's just go ahead and make it a bullet list, or an unordered list. And then we'll run our query here to get the list of artists. So let's do some PHP tags. And again, I'm probably going to do this a little quicker than I normally would, because we're trying to make these quick. So let's make our query. Q equals, and some quotes, and close it. Select all from artists And let's go ahead and just use that status. We might as well, since we put it in there. And if you don't put this where clause in, status equals 1. And then let's go ahead and order alphabetically. Order by name sending. So this will order alphabetically, and I mean, obviously we only have one artist in there at the moment, so it doesn't really matter, but for the final product it will. Let's store our result in an R variable here, my SQLi underscore query, and we need 2 parameters here, the database connection and the query. So we've run our query. Now let's get our list. So we run a while loop, and let's just make a variable called, or we'll make this an array called artist equals my SQLi underscore fetch soch. Give it the result and some curly brackets, and then we're missing a parenthesis, and then all we need to do is echo out the list item, and let's put the artist name in there. So we'll concatenate using the dot. So artist, and again we're accessing the artist array that we're creating there with that MySQL fetch associative array is what that stands for. So artist and then name, because that's what we call it in the database. And then dot to concatenate again, and there you go. So now we're going to have a list of the artist names. Again, only one name at this point. But we're going to want to make a link in order to open up the list of lyrics from this artist. So let's go ahead and wrap this in a link tag, and we'll just give it a href property of the number or pound sign, depending on the country you're in and what that means to you. And go over here to the end and close that link. So there we go. Now we can generate a list, and we'll do what we should have done a while ago and save. And let's just, I have my folder here with the date of this video, and we're just going to call it index. So now it's saved as index.php. Go ahead and upload it, Control-Shift-U, and let's go take a look at it. And here you go. We have our DAX rigs here as our first entry. So this will then become the list of musicians or artists, and just for our own sake, I'm going to go ahead and enter in another artist. We'll put one of my band in, that crafty devil. One of the bands that I'm in. We'll put an old, or I don't know, another band, or we'll just put my name in. I'm a musician. We're not going to put any lyrics or anything in here for these. We're just going to use them to show that now that these are in here in the artist list, we can refresh, and now we have our alphabetical list of artists. And we'll just use DAX rigs as our example. So back in Dreamweaver, now we need to figure out how we are going to get this list of lyrics from the artist. So for speed purposes, let's go ahead. Since we're going to be getting another list, we might as well just copy this whole div and paste it below. And we'll do some quick formatting after we modify this code here really quick. So for right now, let's just say select all from lyrics, where status equals 1, order by title, since that's what we called the name of the song or the lyric. And we'll change this artist here to lyrics, or lyric. well, let's call it lyrics, that makes more sense. Change this to lyrics. And again, normally I'd type all this out with you, but we doing this a little quicker. Change that to title because, again, that's what we called it. So this should pull a list of all the lyrics. If we save and upload this, then refresh the page, there you go. Now, of course, this is not what we want. We want to pick the artist, but now we're showing that the query worked. We're getting a list of the lyrics in the database. So now let's just do some quick formatting here. We're just going to do some embedded CSS. So we'll make a class. We'll call this sidebar. And then we'll come down to this div, make a class, call this content. We'll call this lyrics. And then in the head here, we'll make some style tags. So this is embedding some CSS just to save time. And we'll make quick rules for those. Sidebar. And at the moment, let's just go ahead and we'll float to the left. And we're going to float both of these to the left, and they should just sit right next to each other. So we'll copy that and paste it and change this to content. Or sorry, change this to lyrics. So these two divs should float next to each other. Let's go ahead and just put a width on them. Say width. We'll make the sidebar like 200 pixels. And drag a copy of that. We'll keep the lyrics at 200 pixels as well. So this is just, it'll end up being just 2 columns. And we save and upload. Refresh. There, now they're sitting next to each other. So we still haven't accomplished what we want yet, but we now have a little bit of a format to this. So now we need to tell this query, the second query, to only choose lyrics from the artist that we are looking for. So in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is give this href a property here for this link. And let's say index.php, and we'll do a question mark, and what we're going to do is send some values through the URL, which we'll then grab from the get array. And we'll just call this artist equals, and then we'll concatenate. And we'll do artist, and we'll pull the artist ID from there. So now if we save and upload, and we refresh, and if I click on Dax Riggs, we'll get artist number 1, Alan Quant, artist number 3, That Crafty Devil, artist number 2. So now we can tell the page, or that second query, which artist we want to pull from. So let's first find out if there's actually a value to get, or to artists in the URL. So we'll do if get is set, meaning if it's been set. And get artists, or artist, and double parentheses there, curly bracket there, and a curly bracket down here to close it, because we want to wrap this whole query and while loop within this if is set. So now if we save this, and we go back and we take this artist equals off the URL and hit enter, we will not get a list of lyrics. If we click on it, we will. Now we're going to get the same list because we haven't modified the query yet. So let's take that off again, enter, come back to Dreamweaver. Now we can say, because we know if this is set, we're going to have a value to artist, and we can say where artist underscore ID equals get artist and status equals 1. So now we're going to pull only lyrics that have that associated artist ID. Save and upload. Refresh the page, still getting nothing. If we click on Alan, we get nothing. If we click on Dax, we get his lyrics. If we click on Crafty Devil, we get nothing. Pretty cool. So now the last thing we need to do is actually pull the lyrics. So for this, let's go ahead and copy our lyrics div and everything in it and paste that below. And we'll change the class to content. Fly up here to the CSS. We'll just copy one of these rules here. Change that to content. Again, I apologize that this has to go so fast. Make this 600 because this is going to be the bulk of things. And we can get rid of this list because we're not doing a list anymore. We're doing the lyrics. Now what we're going to do though is we're going to wrap this in what's called a pre-tag, which is pre-formatted, and this is what's going to allow us to take the lyrics as they were entered into the database or entered into a standard text field, not a WYSIWYG. If you're going to use a WYSIWYG, do not use this pre-tag. You can just get rid of it. So now what we need to do is, so let's see what we need to do here. We need to make sure that this is set, but we also want to get the lyric ID. So let's do, we can do two ifs here. We could do another if inside of here if we wanted to, or we can do and. Let's copy this is set, paste it here again for speed, and let's say call that lyrics. Now in order to do this, we need to come back up really quick. We need to modify this, so we need to do index. It's going to look similar to the one above, question mark artist equals, but this time we want the link to include the artist that is in the URL. So dot get artist, and then concatenate, but we want to send another value, and that is the ID of the lyrics. So and, or ampersand, then we're going to concatenate again, and now we want lyrics because we're pulling from this array we're creating in the while loop, and we just want the ID number of that lyric, dot to concatenate, and another quote there, single quote that is. So this looks a little jibber jabbery, but it'll make sense in the URL. But so now we have artist, oh sorry, and lyrics equal, there we go, sorry, that messed you guys up. So artist equals, we're going to get this from the URL so that it stays consistent. We want that list, the list of the songs to stay there, and lyrics equals whatever lyric is being listed here, or the ID for it anyway. So now this right here can be true if that link is clicked on. Artist is set and lyrics is set. So run this query. So we want to do select all where ID, sorry, I modified this earlier. Select all from lyrics where ID, not artist ID, equals get lyrics, and status equals 1. We can take the order by, because there's only going to be one, and we can get rid of all of this and simply echo out the lyrics. So save this, cross your fingers. Since we flew through this, let's hope it works. Click on Dax Rigs. We get this link here with the lyrics. And there's our lyrics. Now, this looks like some formatting that I had in the table here. So let's go to the database. Edit. Oh, okay, here's what we did. If we want to use this pre, okay, so since we had that little bump out there, let's do this. Let's just put this is going to be a quick fix. Do double quotes and a dot to concatenate. And we're going to put a code in here, \in, and this is for a new line. We use this a lot of times in emails, plain text emails if we're sending it using PHP. And what this will do is just bump things down to a new line. What's happening is the pre-formatting is taking the tabbing from this and taking that literally. And this is a way to just kind of bump it down without the tab. So save this and upload it, and there you go. Now what we could do is let's go ahead and instead of putting those pre's outside of the while loop, let's go ahead and take these here, and again I'm doing this very fast, and put them within the while loop, and then we can be a little more fancy with the header for the title of the song and toss that in there. Echo. Let's just do H1 and then lyrics, title, close that. So now we can save and upload. There we go. So we've got the title, and we can click through these and pull off getting a list of the lyrics and the titles. Pretty cool. If you wanted to, you could really quick put some padding, and let's just do 0 pixels, 20 pixels, and put that on each one of these. That might be a little excessive. Save that, upload it, refresh. So there, bumps things out, format them a little bit better. But there you go. That is your quick answer. Have fun with that, Gregor. Thank you.